What's up, everyone? It's BRAP. It's Wednesday. I didn't hear the intro music, so I'm not sure if it played for everyone else. Let me see some real quick. I wanted to go back and check now. Let's see. All right, it did play. Okay, cool. So you guys heard the music. I wasn't sure if it played because I couldn't hear it on my end. It's weird, really weird. I don't know why, but anyhow, happy Wednesday, everyone. It is Hump Day. We have made it halfway through the week and got a great show. Got a lot to talk about. We have Gamescom. I called it Gamescom. I don't know why I called it that. We have Gamescom right now in Germany. And we have some other game-related news to talk about. Another article released by Bloomberg. Phil Spencer talking about the video game industry. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then the BRAP. No click-clack here today, Ronimus. No click-clack. I hung up the hooves for right now. But big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Thank you, everyone. Please do me a favor, hit that like button. And I'm going to drop a link in the live chat. Please retweet the link on your favorite social media platform. Let everyone know that we are live. So on that note, I want to introduce my panel member here. We got the one, the only Game Logic. Game Logic, how are you, man?
Good, man. I've been in a conference all week, so I've been blacked out from a lot of news. I have not watched the Gamescom coverage, but I'm sure you will bring me up to speed.
Yeah. I saw you were playing a little Forza Horizon, I think. Is that...
Oh, no. Nothing so basic. I was playing Assetto Corsa Competizione, which is a game. I can't even remember. I'm not even sure the developer. I got to go back and look at the developer's name. I believe it's published by 505, though. It is the second game in a racing game series that I first played on PC. It is available now on PlayStation Plus Premium. The PlayStation 5 version was just published, I think, February of this year. So I was a huge fan of the first one on PC. So I have not always been enamored by the Gran Turismo franchise. So wanted to spend some time diving into it this week.
Yeah, how does this franchise kind of stack up? I'm not into racing fans per se. How's it like stack up to some of the other popular racers out there?
It is more of I don't know that I would call it full-on simulation, because there are some tryhards that get like really super wrapped around the axle about what that definition is. I would say from my perspective, it's definitely more on the simulation end of the spectrum. The car season is modeled much more so after the European GT racing circuit. And the big thing for me is it has all of its tracks. I've only gotten but so far into the second version. I'm still kind of in training on the second version, but I believe all of the tracks are actual European GT circuit racing tracks. So, last night I was racing on Monza, so it has all the tracks that I've been, that I've gotten really familiar with over the last few decades, particularly playing Formula One racing games. So, and then watching that sport, so all the tracks that people in that ilk are familiar with, so Valencia, Barcelona, Donington, Sebring, Silverstone. I always mess up the pronunciation of it, but Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, and other courses like that. I don't know if that's the official list, but I'm saying that's the flavor of the tracks that are in the game, or those from the official European racing circuits.
Yeah, Jeppy Game says Corsetta more a simcade like GT7. Okay.
What did he say? I'm sorry.
He said Corsetta more a simcade like GT7. I don't know if he's asking that a question or if he's stating that. I don't know.
Yeah, and I haven't played Gran Turismo 7, so I'm not sure how far on the simulation end Gran Turismo 7 is. But yeah.
Yeah, and you're playing this on PC or PlayStation? I forget. I think you said.
I'm playing this on PlayStation.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay. Gotcha. And this is
on my new PlayStation 5, by the way, which I just got this weekend. Yeah. And I'm playing it via PlayStation Premium, which I once I got my PlayStation 5, bumped my still running PlayStation Plus Essentials subscription, which was still in run because you can't really cancel it. You can just say don't auto renew it. So I had paid up through the end of the year at the time that I got rid of my PlayStation 5 at the beginning of this year. So when I got it, I bumped up to premium and went hunting for that game last night. It's kind of neat, I guess, in the store. I'm not a big, huge super fan of the store UI on the PlayStation 5. But the thing that I did see that was neat was that when I went hunting for this game in the store earlier this week, it's got that little PlayStation Plus pip up in the upper right-hand corner. And it has text on the UI that tells you that it's included in your subscription. So
yep.
I'd been planning on buying it, but it was neat that it was already in the collection. So I shouldn't say the collection because that has another specific reference that it was in the game catalog, I think is how they refer to it. So it was neat that I was just able to just download it and go.
Yeah, no, that's I agree with you on the with regards to the PlayStation storefront. I'm not a big fan of it myself, but I do like how how everything's kind of labeled with the PlayStation Plus, things like that. It's pretty easy, I think, to navigate. But by the way, somebody in live chat says, "New PlayStation 5, Holy Spirit activate." That's funny. PlayStation. If you saw the NPD numbers for last month, you'll see that kind of like what we've been saying. What Matt Piscatella has been saying with NPD. Whoever can get the most units on retail shelves is going to, pretty much, sell the most. And that's kind of what PlayStation 5 did last month. They sold the most in terms of dollars per unit. Nintendo Switch, I believe, still sold the most, but obviously Nintendo Switch is cheaper. But when you think about dollars per unit, PlayStation 5 coming in at a $500 price tag and the $400 price tag generating the most there in that regard. So it looks like Sony is getting some stock back in to retail shelves. And for shits and giggles, I actually signed up for the Amazon notification to get a PlayStation 5. And I got one. I got a notification. I didn't use it because I don't need a PlayStation 5, but I just wanted to see that. Yeah,
it's super interesting because I was also signed up for that alert, and I signed up for the alert. That's how I got the Xbox Series X. Hold on a sec, sorry. Sorry. And so I grabbed the Series X as soon as the second time I got the alert because the first time I was sick, and I missed it. And so I signed up for the PlayStation 5 one, thinking that I would get one within 6 days-ish of signing up, and I did not. So we were heading into last Saturday where Forte had told us to expect a GameStop restock. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, maybe Amazon will get their restock at the same time. But I think that Thursday, either that Wednesday or Thursday, I pulled up Twitter and amazingly, I can't remember the user's name. I think it's somebody who follows me, had just posted literally within 6 minutes that PlayStation 5s were available via Sony PlayStation Direct. So I logged into that from my phone and just grabbed. Grabbed. The other thing that was a lot neater about this experience than the first time I got it, right? In a fire sale bot attack right on Amazon where I was fighting with people to get into the queue and order it. But then when I got my first one that I eventually got rid of, it took me months, right, to get all of the accessories that I wanted because those were in scarce supply as well. But when I signed up and got it this time, all of the accessories that I wanted were also available. So I was able to get the Pulse 3D headset and the Sony the dual charging stand, the media remote, and a Cosmic Red controller. So it was nice that I was just able to get all of that in one fell swoop. Yeah,
no, that's awesome, man. But again, it seems like Sony's getting them back into retail shelves. So just in time for potentially for the holidays and for a couple of the big releases that they have coming up. Next week is the Last of Us remake. That's coming out for PlayStation 5. I cannot wait to play that again. I definitely enjoyed The Last of Us Part 1 more than The Last of Us Part 2. 2 was good, but the first one just, I don't know. I just enjoyed that a little bit more. There's parts of Last of Us Part 2 a little bit too drawn out for me, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then, we know about God of War coming out in November. This November, right in time for the holidays. So, yeah, though, this is it's great. If you're, somebody's interested in getting a PlayStation 5, you may have a good opportunity to get one now. So, speaking of, you mentioned 505 games. We kind of talked about this. The BRAP DM Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding game is now coming to Xbox Game Pass or Game Pass PC. If I say Xbox, confuse me. It's coming to
PC Game Pass.
Yeah, PC Game Pass. Thank you. Coming to PC Game Pass. So that was kind of a shocking announcement. Some people, I heard some wild takes on this game launch. I'm not going to even lie, man. Someone actually said that this hurts the image of Sony, and I'm like, how? Some people thought that Sony was completely inept by allowing this to happen. A lot of the sensationalist takes that you see out there, I've seen some of that, but it sounds like Sony commented they weren't involved in any of they weren't involved in this process, which I think kind of alludes to what you had mentioned might be the case, where 505 had the rights to PC distribution, and maybe Hideo Kojima, in negotiating that deal with Sony, was able to take maintain some rights for himself, considering the history with him in Konami. So, or is it Konami? Konami. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. So did you hear anything else about that game launch? I don't know if you read the article about Sony and the whole Kojima thing and Death Stranding coming on PC Game Pass.
No, I mean, I don't know what as far as I know, any of the articles that were out there were just speculating, because nobody knows the ins and outs of the exact deal that was made. And it just indicated what Xbox themselves announced, which was that it was coming to PC Game Pass. So, I mean, my personal feeling on it is I'm always a proponent of, more people being able to play, whatever games. I completely understand the business side and the financial side, in that it would never, ever in a million years ever make sense for, a corporation to spend money out of its own pocket to in-house develop a game that eventually went to another platform intentionally, without having their arm twisted behind their back about it, like happened, such was the case with MLB. So, this is just an instance of, it's great for more people to get to experience a game. The thing that I think will be interesting, I may have said this on the show, or I may have said it on the rant, is, it'll be interesting to see if there's any consumption uptake of note that Microsoft feels warrants, mentioning. So, like they constantly indicate the numbers of people who... They say number of people who have played. I say the number of people who have downloaded and booted the app, because that's all that it really is, of a given game title, like they did with Forza Horizon 5 and with Halo Infinite. So it will be interesting to hear if there's any, mentionable, worthwhile statistic around the number of people who have played Death Stranding on PC Game Pass. Because I'm not always certain that when a title goes to PC Game Pass, that is outside of the wheelhouse of kind of, the expected Xbox player demographic. I don't know that it picks up a lot of traction.
Yeah, real quick. Sony denies involvement in Death Stranding Game Pass release. In a statement by Sony Interactive Entertainment, matters related to the PC release of Death Stranding are managed by Kojima Production and 505 Games. SIE has no involvement in this promotion. That was their official statement.
Yeah, so I guess that's the closest corroboration that we'll get to my theory, which is that for whatever reason, Kojima Productions retained the right to negotiate publishing rights for the PC, themselves, and then made that arrangement with 505 Games.
Forte just, big shout to Gaby Forte, just sent me a text message of 2 PlayStation 5s. He's like, do you need another one? I am good, Forte. Thank you, though. I appreciate that, man.
Hey, while we're on the subject of hardware, I just want to mention I also checked the queue today based on a posting that I saw on Twitter, and I've actually been moved up in the Steam Deck queue out of Q4, and am now in the July to September queue for the Steam Deck.
Oh, man. Should I get the Steam Deck, man? You know, I passed on it, but now I'm like, I don't know. Should I get it?
Look, I'm never gonna tell you what you should do. I will tell you my own feeling as of now, and I know this is hypocritical, and you can call me on my receipts because I definitely said I was gonna pass on the Steam Deck, but I am just now firmly wrapped in the wool of if I'm gonna be a commentator on games, then I guess I need to own all the things. So I am gonna order a Steam Deck if it becomes available.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Yeah. Oh man, you know it's funny. I was actually staring at a 3080 on Best Buy's website, and I'm like, it was the gigabyte version of the 3080, which is I have a gigabyte 3070 right now on my computer, but. Man, I'm not lying. I'm not gonna lie to you, Game Logic, man. I was thinking about pulling the trigger, man. It was like $750, I think, for the GPU.
Okay, so I'm gonna renege on what I just said because I will tell you what to do about that. You should not buy a 3080. not when we're within, you know, even if the mild rumor / like passive corroboration by NVIDIA is correct. I mean, the 4000 series cards are gonna drop within the next 6 to 8 months, almost unquestionably. So if you're going to do it, I wouldn't argue with you about bumping to a 4070, right? Particularly if you do what I suggested, which was, you know, stand up a second rig. But I wouldn't drop the money on a 3080 right now. I would pocket that money for a Steam Deck and have it on standby.
No, listen, you can't be telling them that. Papa Forte's here to tell you how to spend your Papa Forte is still at work, but he is here to tell you how to spend your money. I have that's what made me jump in here. I should be on the show in like the next 30 minutes. I'll be home. But what made me jump in here is you said you saw a 3080 for $700. I got some better for you. What kind of $750? What kind of CPU do you have in your PC right now, Brad?
I have the Intel 12700K.
Oh, you have a 12 gen?
The i7, yeah, the i7, yeah, 12700K.
Okay, never mind. Maybe your kid would want. Well, I have a PC brand new in my back room that retails for $3,100. Has an 11. It has an 11 series, and it has a 11700K, 11700K i7. Has a 3080 Ti, 32 gigs of Vengeance RAM, water cooled. And it is a 3080 Ti. It normally is $3,200. It's on clearance for $1,300.
What?
On clearance.
What?
$1,300.
Why are you telling me this? Why are you telling me this?
Listen, Papa Forte's here for you.
Father God, help me.
Listen, after taxes, I'm looking at it right now, $1,452. Matter of fact, I'll just, you know what? I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna do this. And
oh my God! Why did you?
Now, Brad, we shouldn't just buy things simply because they are on sale.
Forte's here for you.
Just because it's there doesn't mean that you should.
Look at your text message. Just text you again.
Okay, we're talking about a computer that's like more than half off.
Way more than half off.
When does that ever happen?
Yeah, because GameStop is doing their clearance sale right now, and this was a customer bought this online. A customer bought it online, and his kid was acting up, so they never opened it. But we took it out the box to check it, make sure everything was there, and everything's there, and it's been in my back room literally for 4 months.
Hey, Logic.
Just let me ask. So Brett, what kind of GPU do you have right now again?
A 3070.
It's a straight stick 3070, right?
Uh-huh.
Sell that 3070 for $500.
No pause. You can keep going. I'm doing some math.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I do have the better CPU.
You have the better CPU.
But
you do. What's your RAM?
Same RAM, 32 gigs.
You got the same RAM. So what I would do is
I've got 2 terabytes of Gen 3 M.2 NVMe.
Oh, and this does have an NVMe in it, a 1 terabyte NVMe in it.
So you said it was a 3080 what Ti?
3080 Ti.
You guys can go ahead. Like I said, don't wait on me.
No, I'm curious to see what calculations you're coming up with.
I'm curious to see what he's coming up with too.
Why is that?
All right, I'm gonna put a poll here. I'm gonna put T-Ruck. I don't know where the pollinator is, man. He should be here soon. Do you know who the pollinator is, Forte?
No, I don't.
That's Slow-Mo's nickname.
Is it?
Yeah, because he gives seeds to Fortnite.
Oh, are you? Oh Lord, are you still talking about this? I seeded. I put my seed down.
Yeah, hey, I'm getting a little. You guys hearing an echo in the background?
Yeah, that was me. My mic was open while I was hidden my mechanical keyboard.
I hear myself talking.
Yeah.
Oh, that echo is Forte.
That can't be Forte.
I mean it's you, but it's you echoing back through Forte's phone or mic or whatever.
All right, hold on a sec here. I'm gonna put up a poll here.
1, 2.
Should BRAP? What am I doing here? Should BRAP buy Forte's? Should I put Forte's PC? It's not really your PC.
Yeah, it's not really mine, but it will go towards my store.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that after taxes, how much
crazy,
the thing though, shipping would be insane because you'd have to box that thing up like in, you can
ship it in the box. No, they ship those in the box it comes in. You just put a box around it. It probably costs it might cost like $150 to ship it, which is still way cheaper than buying all that stuff separately. I mean, that's a legit whole other PC.
Bro, let me tell you something.
So how much is it? It's half off to what, 1,300 you said, Forte?
It's 3,100.
It's 30, yeah.
But I thought you said it was half off.
It's $1,462 with tax and everything.
Okay, so it's about, we'll just call it $1,500. So for $1,500, what you're going to get is you're going to get a 15.4% increase in performance.
Woo, 15 point. Oh, no, not 15%. You know why? Because
what?
he's going to sell that 3070 for $400 or $500, and he's going to take that price down even more.
Yeah, so I'll say for $1,000, he's going to get a 15% bump in performance.
And then he doesn't need the CPU because he could just sell the CPU and make about $200-300 off the CPU.
So again, this is just me, but now we're getting into the realm of it's not just the dollars; it's the amount of work you're going to put in.
It's not no work. It ain't no work.
I would contend.
Guess what? He can package that same. You know what he could do? He could literally take that PC and package it for $1,000 with a 3070 in it and sell it as is.
So this is not meant as a knock, but this is BRAP, and we're talking about BRAP going into a cyber power PC that he did not build himself, extracting the CPU out of that, breaking away
No, he doesn't. No, listen, I didn't say the CPU. Leave the CPU.
Okay.
Just take the GPU out and replace the GPU with his 3070, and that's it.
So you're basically saying spend $1,000 to get it upgrade, but now you're saying spend $1,000 to get an upgrade, a GPU upgrade.
$500. Spend $500 to get an upgrade.
I don't know, man. This isn't. Again, I'm viewing it through my own lens, but it's not.
Let me ask you this, Game Logic. Do you think $1,000 with a 3070 Ti in it, or a 3070 in it with all of those components is worth $1,000?
On the pure cost of the parts, yes. Would it? Okay, this is just my lens, so I'm not saying this applies.
If more, honestly.
If we're through the way I look at that is, it's worth it for the parts, but it's not worth it to the pain in my ass for having to swap parts around just to do an incremental upgrade like that. I know. I understand. Look, man.
It's one part. I ain't talking about switch out everything. I said one part.
I know. And again, it's BRAP. That's different than me. There's 6 PCs in this room right now. I'm not spending $1,000 so that I can swap out a GPU. That's just me personally.
Yeah. So I ran a poll here for it. You probably can't see it, but I ran a
No,
poll
I
for
see
it.
it.
Okay. Yeah. So 78% of the people are saying no. Don't buy
Yeah,
it.
of course there's a because they're console people. Console people don't want PC people to thrive.
Oh, come on, man. Yeah, I
I'm
don't
just
know,
playing.
man.
I'm just playing.
I don't know,
No,
man.
I know. No,
Yeah.
listen, I was just being funny about it because I wasn't even going to mention it to you because I know you got an addictive personality when it comes to spending money. But when you mentioned that you almost bought a 3080, I'm like, oh well, I might as well try to
Well,
find
the
a way
thing
to
that
get this
stopped
out my
me is
back
like,
room.
I kept thinking about, how much extra performance am I going to get? And, but now Forte, if I had an upgrade to this PC and I still have my 2070, yeah, I'd probably be like, we'd be on the phone.
If I didn't just upgrade my CPU and everything, not even 6 months ago, I would do it. I would buy. I'm almost thinking about buying this as a PC for my daughter for her senior year. I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I like her that much though. I actually do, but I don't know.
Well, no, I mean it's yeah.
I mean, I would say that is an incredible, and actually, it gives credence to the prediction that's been going around that number one, they're trying to get those 3,000 cards out of the inventory, but also that the demand from crypto has just gone through the floor, and that all those things are kind of on fire sale now.
Yep. So, all right, let me finish this up. I'll be there in like 20-30 minutes.
All right, man. Thank you, Forte. All right, so
no problem.
The poll
buy
has
PlayStation too.
No, I'm not doing that, man. I got enough. Already got enough PlayStations. All right, man. All right. The poll says 79% of the poll says no, do not buy Forte's PC. So, all right, we're gonna end the poll. I want to go to Fake Man Bear Pig with the $2 super chat. Says Forte probably getting a spiff if he sells that PC. Thank you for that $2 super chat, sir. Yeah, I just I think Game Logic. If I still had that 2070, I would have done it.
Yeah, I completely understand that. But look, and I hope I didn't mess up a sale for Forte.
Oh no. I know. I'm not gonna like. I was kind of wow, and then as I thought about it, the thing for me is like I love that 12700. What is it?
Yeah, the Intel Alder Lake CPU.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a great chip.
Yeah, it's a great chip. I mean, like I remember when I was building this PC, and I didn't build it. I picked out the parts for it. But I remember that's one of the things you recommend. I think you recommended that CPU, like, and the reviews for it at the time when it came out were just fantastic. And I just look, I have no complaints on my computer. It is great. It runs everything just great. I mean, I can't even complain. It's, I'm playing Cyberpunk again, running with ultra settings, full ray tracing, and I'm getting like 80 FPS. Now I'm using DLSS too, but still, I mean, that's, I couldn't even touch that on my 2070. I would hope,
right.
You know, so, yeah, I mean, it's just, no, I love this PC. And even with the 40 series cards, I don't know if I'll upgrade to the 40 series when those come out. We'll see though. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, I know you will. I should mention that.
Well, aren't those things supposed to be like usually like 1,000-watt power supply or something? Like that?
Yeah, that's true. When the time comes, we'll have to take a look at your power supply to make sure you won't have to swap out your, because I wouldn't recommend bumping.
I'm going to have to.
Oh yeah. I thought you had like an 850-watt power supply though.
No, mine's 750.
Okay. Well, we should wait till we see it. I think much like happens in the console space, I think there are some wild conjectures running around out there about how much the power supply bump is that's needed. So I know it will be on the upper end, but I'm holding on to the notion that some of the like 850-watt power supplies and 750-watt power supplies I have will make it under the wire. So we'll see. I meant to mention, to swing it back to consoles, I should have mentioned that that PlayStation 5 that I got a hold of was the disc version.
Oh, nice. Okay, you got the
and not the digital. And in fact, I should also mention it was also the Horizon Forbidden West bundle, which I haven't downloaded yet, but I look forward to playing that game as well.
Oh, great! I really enjoyed that game, much better than the first one. So, didn't agree with all the reviews out there though. Thought it probably, I would have reviewed it higher in my opinion, but I get it. What was I going to say? God, now I forgot. What were we talking about? I forgot.
The Steam Deck, I think, was where we last left.
Oh yeah, the Steam Deck. Yeah, so you got bumped up to July September timeframe for the Steam Deck, then, right?
I did, and I'm in line for the whatever it is, the 512 gigabyte version. So once I get the actually, I'm gonna go check right now. And yeah, that comes into an account that frequently stuff like that goes into the spam folder, or I don't get notifications on my phone. So let me double check.
Now, I know you've been in conference right now or this week. Did you see anything about Destiny? I know you play Destiny. I'm not a big Destiny fan. Actually, maybe we should wait for Forte to talk about this, because
I saw him.
There was a pretty big Destiny announcement.
Yeah, so they posted information about the new season. Forte is definitely the expert on that. So I saw the notification go up, and I've recently been logged in, but haven't really like sized up my progress or whether or not I was ready for the next season. But I did notice that I have seen him post some stuff about it, so he should be fairly well read up on it. So yeah, I'm definitely fine waiting for him.
I think we should probably wait till he gets back on. So let's see here. There was something else I wanted to talk about that now I'm just that conversation, the PC thing, derailed me, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it was a juicy little morsel, right, that was dangled out there. I have been guilty in the past of probably more so with laptops, of like seeing something come by my radar and being like, that's an incredibly good deal on the market, right, in comparison to like where the market has been. So I've been guilty about going down that path, particularly in the time where I was just gaming on laptops, because the GPU space really wasn't making any big moves just before the just before the 1000 series generation started. But then when I went back to building desktops, I had to start holding myself a little back from jumping at a thing just because it was on sale.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. That the sales sometimes get me, man. It's like, oh, wait a minute, that's on sale. All right, hold on a sec here. There was another news item. God, I want to talk about now. It's just now I'm drawing a blank here. Oh, so we're talking about Death Stranding too. I just wanted to kind of go back on that real quick. I do hope people that didn't get a chance to play this game play it on Game Pass. It was my game of the year 2019. I thought it was a great game. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. By the way, if you haven't done so, check out this past weekend's BRAP rant. I don't know. I thought it was pretty insightful, man. I learned some new things I didn't know that I wasn't aware of. But you and David, I forget his last name now.
Faulkner.
Faulkner, thank you. I thought you guys were really provided some great insight into, kind of how companies, look at, finances and how, financial decisions or even things like inflation impact the price of gaming, things like that. And again, it wasn't an attempt to, because I know I was like, I didn't see any in the live in the comment section after the show, but I'm sure there's some people that probably out there were trying to defend $70 games. That wasn't the point of the show. It was more or less to give people some insight into, how companies, arrive to pricing and how inflation impacts the production of games, the cost of making games, the cost of digital distribution, things like that, because I think there's definitely, and I don't mean this to insult anyone, but there's definitely a big gap as I'm starting to talk to people, Game Logic, who are in the know, that have, either because they do this for a living or they've studied this. This is, one thing I've noticed is that there's a big gap between what gamers think they know and what really is happening in the industry. And I'm sure you probably have noticed that too. Well, I mean, we saw it last week when somebody came in here and argued with a game developer about a game that he actually worked on.
Right.
And I think you saw examples of that last week. I think you mentioned too.
Yeah, and I mean, we often say that like the gaming industry is the only place they do that. As I've been thinking about it over the last few weeks, there's definitely other places where people will do it. It's not necessarily for the same reason, but it kind of, I don't even know if it comes from the same place, but it's kind of gets to the same destination, right? People will argue about things like, for instance, whitewashing, right, of Hollywood pictures, which again, I'm not a super huge fan of whitewashing. Like I would prefer, I don't even remember what the name of the thing is, because Ghost in the Shell, right? It would have been great if an Asian actress was cast for Ghost in the Shell, but people who don't understand how financing for motion pictures is put together, I think there's a swath of moviegoers who just think that, oh well, Fox Studios just decides that they're going to make a movie and they just pony up the money for it, and that is absolutely not in any way whatsoever the way financing gets put together for a motion picture. So there's this notion of things called butts in seat actors, right? And if you pitch a deal for a movie, if you don't have that person locked down in some cases, right, or at least highly targeted with some number of conversations having been had with them about their participation in the project, your movie's not going to get greenlit, right? Because financing for a movie is not by one person; it's by an array of people who put money in. A lot of it's financed. Sometimes actors will pony up the money, for a movie themselves, and it's not money in their pocket or in their bank account. It's because of some other licensing or distribution deal that's been made with other people on the back end. So again, a live action feature like Ghost in the Shell, there's an argument that movie wouldn't have been made, right, if you didn't have somebody like a Scarlett Johansson. I'm not saying that that's good, but I'm just saying people will lodge that argument without an understanding of how financing for motion pictures are put together. And I guess maybe in a similar vein, it's where, this conversation of, financing for games comes in, right? And people make up all kinds of wild conjecture about cost models that unfortunately isn't really based on the reality of the industry.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, I think what some of the insight David mentioned when people were talking about like record profits in that show is that, that a lot of that goes back into investing in, other ways for these companies to generate even more money. So it doesn't always, necessarily go back into, I mean, it does in some sense, but, a lot of that stuff does go back into making games. And it was interesting, as relates to making games, the Iron Lords had Brad Sams on. He made actually a very interesting point, something I think Phil Spencer's talked about, that the cost of gaming has exceeded. God, what did he say? I'm going to butcher this. Something to the fact that the cost of gaming has exceeded revenue from hardware sold or something like, basically like they can't keep up with the cost of gaming more or less. And again, you'd have to go back and listen to the show. I'm totally butchering what he said, but something to that effect. I'd have to look it up on Twitter because I did tweet it out. That I thought it was an interesting point that he made. So, but no, I just thought it was a very insightful show. Hopefully those who listen to it got something out of it. So,
yeah, and so there's been a tangential tail to that topic too, right? Not necessarily that topic per se, but just in general. I think I've also been not a huge fan of the conversation that has gone around this week. It's been going around for a while, but this notion that, Microsoft's intention is to attempt to strong arm and crowbar the industry in its entirety over to a subscription model. And I don't think that that's the case at all. I think it would be kind of foolish and silly. People will point to the video industry as like proof of that. And I'm like, most places that have streaming services still put movies in theaters, send those movies to DVD, and put them on streaming services, right? So again, we kind of fixate on things like we're mentioned, like with Office 365, right? As if that thing is only available via subscription, and that's not the case, right? You can procure Office 365 multiple different ways. So I just think that there's a little bit of a fixation on a theme in an effort to crowbar it, contort it into supporting a narrative, and I haven't been a fan of that running theme this week either.
Yeah, I saw Jeppy Gaming said something about the clip of Matt Damon talking about subscription services, killed DVD, Blu-ray income movies or something, 92,000 killing freedom that films had. I don't think I don't think that's going to happen I don't think that's going to happen in the gaming space. And the reason why I think that is because there's still a demand for AAA games. Like that hasn't gone away. I don't see that going away. And I don't think subscription services for gamers, I don't think it's a one size shoe fits all type scenario where you're going to have everyone just dashing to subscription services. Not everyone's going to see value in that service. Some people only play a couple, maybe 3 or 4 games a year, and that's it. So I don't, I don't think that's the case.
Well, the other difference that I pointed out with that, right, is that, some people looked at the Matt Damon clip and extrapolated that to see this is what's going to happen in gaming. But I didn't agree with that take, right? And I didn't watch the entirety of the length of Matt Damon, right? I didn't see, what that video has on the front side of it or the back side of it. I don't know if that's the conclusion he was arriving at. That is not what he said in the clip of the video that I saw. It wasn't conclusive. It was just that this is a thing. But he didn't ascribe to that thing malice or root cause or a notion that it was bad or worse. One of the lines that I drew is the thing that he painted out is, yes, that happened. Just like when we had VHS and rental companies, the paradigm for movie releases also shifted, right? Just like the paradigm shifted in the 70s when HBO launched, right? So if you studied the evolution of the movie industry in the United States, then what you will have seen is that the business model and the financial model for that industry and the organization of that model and the injection of unions into that model has, in each evolutionary stage, created a change that has impacted the type of content that's been made. And every generation of moviegoers has had to go through that 2, 3, 4 times, depending on however long you live. It has not necessarily, and I'm sure every generation has said, they don't make movies like they used to, right? But that has happened numerous times throughout the inception of that artistic style, and it's not new. What Matt Damon talks about in that video is not new by any stretch or means of the imagination, right? It's a characterization of that specific point in the American timeline, right? I kind of, at that point, globalization had really kicked in. So, we'll say in the planet's timeline, right? In that industry as a whole, but it has its own set of dynamics, but it was not an evolutionary shift that was inherently at its root and its nature anything different than the impact VHS had, than the impact that Blockbuster had, than the impact that DVDs had when they arrived, right? Because if you remember what happened when DVDs arrived, that whole release train of how long a movie was in theaters before it went to rental companies, before it went to DVD, shifted from what it had been between movies and VHS and rental companies, right? It was tightened up and it was made shorter. If people remember reading about those negotiations, because every time that happens, how the money is distributed is renegotiated between all of the participating entities. So, again, I don't think that was anything new. It was just another evolutionary step in the art, right? Based on, I think people tried to ascribe that to technology as if it was unique, right, to that dynamic. It wasn't unique. Other technological innovations and interventions in that industry have also disrupted it.
Yeah, well, it's the interesting thing about Game Pass is that anytime there's anything, I think, subscription service that's tied to or kind of a subtraction as a result of subscription service, people tend to try to compare that to Netflix, or not Netflix. Game Pass. And look, I have on this show have said I don't believe that Game Pass is going to be the only way people play games. I know there's some people that subscribe to that theory. I don't agree with that. I think it's going to be one part of the puzzle because I don't believe everyone's going to jump in and want to subscribe for Game Pass. people consume gaming differently. Some people don't see me personally, I haven't used Game Pass much at all. If I didn't, lock myself in for the dollar deal, and then last Black Friday, Target had basically, it was like 40% off of Game Pass subscription. I'm like, I picked it up because it was on sale. Again, there we go, on sale. See what I do, Game Logic? I got something on sale I don't even use.
right. Now your family uses it, right? And
yeah, they do. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
yeah. And just like you're, I'm sorry, go ahead. Well, and just like you're saying, right? Every different consumers are going to see things of different value, right? PlayStation Plus Premium, right? The way I looked at it at first, I was like, I don't see a ton of value in that for me. Game Pass provides, is mostly oriented around provisioning new games that have just released. Again, you can feel however you want to feel about those games, but the fact of the matter is that from a consumer perspective, that is the use case that it satisfies, right? Whereas the PlayStation Plus Premium vector is much more about kind of the back catalog of games and things that are previously released. So at first I didn't see a huge amount of value to that because I'm not a legacy, I mean, I've been on the PlayStation platform since its inception, but I just don't have that nostalgia, right, for titles in the PlayStation back catalog. So at face value, again, if I wasn't somebody who spent a lot of time blogging and podcasting, whatever about games, I don't know that I would sign on to the PlayStation Plus service. It definitely not at the premium tier. But again, right, there's some demographic of consumers that finds value in that, but not necessarily all. So, like I said, I don't necessarily buy that it's an effort to contort everyone over.
Yeah, no, and my kids use it. But it's interesting. I mean, like, again, this is a scenario where, I mean, they use it, but I'm telling you, as soon as my oldest doesn't use it because he's playing Fortnite. He's playing the free-to-play stuff. He's playing a couple games. Actually, there's a couple games on Steam that he picked up that he plays. They're more like simulators. Like there's one where like you can build a roller coaster. I forget what the game is called. It's not Roller Coaster Tycoon. Planet Coaster. But my youngest is definitely utilizing it the most. But I haven't used it. And again, it's not to say that it's crazy. I have to paraphrase this, but I'm not saying that it's a bad service. It just
You're just saying that you're in a consumer demographic that doesn't find it appealing, and that, again, if you were a person who didn't spend time podcasting about covering games, then you might not buy it, right?
Yeah.
So
that's part of it too. Like, I mean, I have a podcast, but I don't use it, and it's and I don't use PlayStation Plus Premium. I've used it on a handful of occasions. When Microsoft maybe starts releasing more of their first party stuff, I'll use it more. Assuming those games are games that I want to play. But I think that, and I bring it up because I think it's one of those situations. It's a great value proposition, but it's not a one size fits all type situation either. People are going to consume these things differently. We see this in, people like to compare Game Pass and Netflix. Not everyone consumes Netflix.
Now, I've been thinking about that a lot this week, and I feel like, and maybe this is a litmus test and the chat can mull it over. I feel like the better comparison is if people are going to, well, first of all, this is about people running fish hooks out to, international waters, right, 50 miles out to sea. But, if you're going to compare Game Pass to a streaming service, then I feel like what you would compare it to is Disney Plus, right? Disney Plus, in fact, has kind of done a lot of what Microsoft is trying to do, right? They've bought a bunch of stuff, right, to try and assemble this massive content production line, right? And the value of Disney Plus is really oriented around all of those production pipelines pumping out content that keeps people engaged in the streaming service. I should say, the streaming technology to me is not necessarily the pertinent part of for Game Pass, because Game Pass isn't a streaming service outside of the the small sliver of it that's Xbox Cloud Gaming. It's more so that it's just a subscription and it's a service, right? So that Disney production pipeline is oriented around keeping people engaged in the subscription service in the, strategic effort to minimize churn, right? And therefore to get that customer base to not only contribute to the increasing frequency and volume of cash flow, but to actually have them directly contribute to the retention of revenue. And so, and Disney, right, and Disney Plus continues to release movies in the theater, release movies on DVD, sends content over to other Disney services in that network, including their free-to-access service, and does streaming. That model feels like it's much more akin to the Game Pass model than Netflix. I feel like the Netflix thing is just the tchotchke that, the overly basic and unsophisticated reach for in an effort to make a comparison that, the common person will find relevant. When in fact, it's actually not.
Yeah, I like the analogy to Disney Plus better than I do Netflix. So, absolutely. But which is kind of interesting because, give me a sec here. I'm going to pull up this article as we're talking about Game Pass because Phil Spencer had an interview with Bloomberg. Give me a second here. I got to pull this back up. I had it up when I closed it. Good old Uncle Phil. I don't know why people call him Uncle Phil. That's so weird. Gotta love Kotaku's headline here. Xbox boss says exclusives aren't the future while company buys up exclusives. That's great.
Good old Kotaku. You can, and I'm sure there's a Tom Warren article running around there, and it's from our favorite Bloomberg, and I'm sure, our favorite characters over at Forbes will be up to it next as well.
Yeah. So he was actually commenting on the Activision Blizzard deal that he believes is heading in a positive direction. I think the acquisition was approved in Saudi Arabia already, and he was talking about that he's never done a $70 billion deal, and that he talked about the experience of gamers not being able to play the same games together online because they bought, like, say, the wrong piece of plastic, a console. And what he's saying is we really love to be able to bring more players and reducing friction, making people feel safe, secure when they're playing, allowing them to find their friends, play with their friends regardless of what device. I think in the long run that's good for the industry. Hold on, what did he say? Where's the piece? He said something else about. Hold on a sec here. Where is it? Good old Kotaku didn't quote that piece. All right. So he says, so he's talking about regardless of what device. He goes, I think in the long run that's good for the industry, and maybe in the short run there's some people and companies that don't love it. But I think as we get over the hump and we see where the industry can continue to grow, it proves to be true. So he's kind of hinting at, if you bought an Xbox, you buy a PlayStation, and our kids want to play together and they can't because they have the wrong piece of plastic. That that's something that they kind of a barrier they want to break down. And it's not the first time he's kind of alluded to that. And he says, console exclusives are something that we're just going to see less and less of. So again, that's not news per se. I think he's kind of talked about that in the past. But it's not just. I think what people are. I saw people kind of take that and they say, well, that means Xbox is going to be on PlayStation. No, I think when you look at it, like, it's not just being on like the PlayStation or Nintendo. It's also, if you can stream a game now through a cloud service, that game's not really console exclusive anymore because you don't need the console to access it. It's still exclusive in the ecosystem, but it's not not like hardware exclusive per se. It's now in the cloud, or now it's on PC. And so I thought that's. I think maybe even Matt Piscatello from NPD may have said this, something similar too. But that's kind of, and that's kind of what he's been talking about too. Like when I kind of think back about some of the things he said about, he's discussed about like cloud and giving people to access their games on different platforms. I never took that as, he's talking about, having Xbox on PlayStation or being a third-party publisher. It's about having access to the ecosystem on your mobile phone now, which you could stream certain games on your phone through xCloud. I've done that a few times. And it made me also think, so here's my thing, Game Logic. Well, what about Nintendo? Like, he kind of talks about, like, there's some companies that aren't going to be happy about this. And I'm paraphrasing. Those weren't exact words, but he kind of alluded to that. And it made me think of Nintendo. Where does Nintendo fall in all this in the future? It's like, do they just go double down and just keep doing what they do? And I think they could probably be successful just doing what they're doing because there's just a demand for their games and their hardware. So, but what did you think of Phil Spencer's comments, Game Logic?
It's tough, right? There's a part of me that wants to say that Phil Spencer is the Floyd Mayweather of gaming, and by that I mean I feel like Phil. So my feelings about Spencer, and I have been the campaign manager of Phil Spencer for president. So let's go ahead and set that from the beginning. And I think Sarah Bond should be his VP. My feeling, Spencer first appealed to me because, of course, he was the relief after Matrick, right? And he was the person who, to me, healed up the divide of the uber business guy who didn't get it, to a person who came out of game development and started kind of, shoring up the crevice that had kind of been opened between Xbox and its gaming community. But as time, and so I feel like that has kind of been the spirit that's motivated, right, the business direction that he's taken that division in, and as well as some of the technical ones, right, where he has asked his technical teams at times, like, does it make sense that we do a thing this way, right? And when the answer has been no, it really doesn't make sense. It's just that way because that's the way we've always done it. Then he said, well, let's not do it that way. Where I feel like is now kind of in this third age of Spencer is where I feel like I'm seeing him do things that are very Apple-esque. And I talk about Sony really being kind of the spirit animal of Apple, but with Phil, I feel it is this war of words that is sometimes tilted to maybe mean a specific thing. One of the things I talked about at the beginning of this generation with, we tried to remember what this term was a couple weeks ago, and same thing, we forgot it. I think it's I'm losing the term. It's the buy once, play anywhere thing.
Are you talking about like upgrade path?
Yeah, but there's a specific branding term that Xbox puts around it that just escapes me right now because it's just become my native expectation. So it doesn't make a big deal in my mind anymore. I'm sure the chat knows.
Oh, smart delivery.
Yeah, smart delivery. Yeah. And so what I said when that thing was coming along is what I said was, I don't know that smart delivery is really that big a deal in and of itself. What it's going to do is it's going to shine a flashlight on anybody who's not doing it, right? From a consumer perspective, right? It's going to make it really patently obvious. My personal feeling is this is why there's all the swirl around the conversation about the paid upgrade paths, right? Because you've got one console manufacturer who has a very big footprint in publishing over here, giving people the entitlement of an upgrade, right, for nothing more than the base MSRP, and then you have everyone else not doing that. And it makes it really obvious, right? It's the person who shows up in the wrong uniform, right, for a function, right? Or the person who the thing says business casual, but they show up on jeans. They stick out. It makes people stick out like a sore thumb. And so what I mean by these things are Apple-esque in the way he's couching these things is, Apple has a very big branding campaign now about them being the privacy company, right? And they reiterate it time after time and time again whenever Tim Cook's up on stage. Actually, I think it's a very disingenuous campaign, but it's a voice track, right? And it engages in this topic of reinforced themes, right? That, because you're saying it all the time, it's what people hear. And so I feel like part of this soundtrack is, number one, he's saying seeing less exclusives, and part of me is wondering, is he saying that to create a reinforced theme that diminishes the value, right, in gamers' minds of exclusives? We had this a couple generations ago. I want to say at the beginning of the PlayStation 4, Xbox One generation, there was this notion that exclusives weren't going to make that big of a deal anymore. And by the back half of the generation, all of a sudden, we got right back to exclusives actually did make a really big deal. And so I wonder if that's part of it. I wonder if it's just his effort to kind of diminish the notion of exclusives. I also wonder if it's kind of like they did with crossplay, right? When now, in my mind, Sony kind of stuck their foot in that patch of mud themselves, because they made, again, I constantly mentioned, like, here's Sony making a big deal out of something that doesn't need to be a big deal, and it would not be a big deal if they would just shut their mouth about it, right? But Sony constantly talked about crossplay. Right, but at those points, Phil made a very sanguine tactical choice to kind of shrug his shoulders and say, we just want people to be able to play together, right? And that's kind of the theme he's reinforcing here. So it's tough for me to tell in this case if the things that he's voicing are real indicators of the intentional business path. I don't know if this is. I talk about the head of Microsoft Legal, Brad, I can't remember his last name. Maybe it might just be Brad Smith. But Brad does this thing also where he thinks that there's a theme gaining legs out in the public consciousness and on Capitol Hill, and he will race to his blog page and put something up to kind of message and convey the way Microsoft is thinking about handling a thing, to try and start to tamp down, right, some of those concerns. And they are definitely things that people on Capitol Hill read, right, and see and understand. And he did this when the whole Activision deal went down, and he's done this on several other issues about, like, privacy and facial recognition technology and things like that. Anything he thinks he's going to participate in from a legal perspective, right, in making sure, right, that there's not legislation against it or regulation against it, he kind of plays that role. And I wonder if Phil is kind of doing some of that here.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. We got my man. I forget what T-Rock called you. What's your nickname, Slow-Mo?
Oh man, you guys can't hear me. Hold up, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I didn't
What did T-Rock call you? The seed giver? I forget what it was.
Oh man, I hope that's that.
The fertilizer.
That was it. The fertilizer. Yeah. Like there's the equalizer, there's the neutralizer.
Oh, okay. We're not. Oh, the pollinator. The pollinator. That's what the pollinator. Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Slow-Mo?
The pollinator.
The pollinator.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey, so
I was just pollinating these Fortnite streets. My bad. I lost track of time.
Oh, come on. It's easy to do that in Fortnite, sir.
Yeah, look, next thing I know, I was like, oh crap, it's 9:45. Let me finish this match and get up out of here. But it was like I thought it was like, I don't know. I just had my wires crossed, so forgive me for being super late.
Oh no worries. Hey, so did you? I don't know how much of the conversation you heard.
I'm about to change my name to the Pollinator. Let's go.
There you go, man.
Go ahead.
we were talking about the Phil Spencer's commentary on exclusives and things like that. This Bloomberg article just came out today. I don't know if you had a chance to read it.
I heard a clip of it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really I didn't get a chance to read it yet. But no, from what I heard, like he's talking, I think people are making a little much of his comments about less exclusives in the future, but I kind of feel like he was talking about like far in the future, and not like tomorrow, next year, the year after. Like it's interesting because it's like people always this happens with Jim Ryan, Phil Spencer, Herman Hulst, whatever his name is, Matt Booty. Like they'll have like all these comments, right? And then people will pick and choose the comment, the parts of those comments that they like the most, regardless of the fact that it's like half a sentence. And if you're really looking at half of a sentence, you're not looking at the full like thought the person was trying to say. But all that said, no, it's they are their platform is Game Pass. That's the platform. So Game Pass isn't a physical device. It's a service that can be put on as many physical devices as they could are allowed to put it out there to. So as far as they're concerned, yeah, uh, less exclusives. Less actual exclusive games to specific pieces of hardware. Absolutely. And as far as they're concerned, yeah, we want everything to be everywhere. Sure, just as long as we own it. Just as long as we own the backbone that you use, the networking that you use to run it, just as long as we own the service that is ran off of, and just as long as we own the companies that are delivering the games. That's their long-term goal. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you gotta see it for what it is, and we always known Phil Spencer to be the kind of person that will tell you what you need to hear right now. Like when he didn't have games to show, and he was like, "Well, we don't like to show games too far out. You didn't have nothing to show, bro. That's why you said that." But as soon as he has some games to show, they showing games that didn't even have actual ideas like Everwild. Like they didn't even know what it was. They just show it anyway. They're showing games that still ain't been out yet. Like the narrative changes when what they have available to them changes. That whole PlayStation isn't our competition. Yeah, right. Come on, bro. If PlayStation wasn't your competition, why did you wait a full year after revealing the Xbox Series X to tell us what the price was? It was a stare down contest between you and Sony to see who would tell the price first. That's competition. You don't do that if Sony's not your competition. They say what they say because, well, he says what he says. And look, some Xbox guys are not going to like this, but look, here it is. He talks that talk about PlayStation not being their competition because what do you have right now that competes? You don't have the games right now, and you're losing. You even though this is your best-selling Xbox, it's still being outsold by the PlayStation. That's been hardware constrained. Parts constrained in order to like meet the units, right? So, of course.
By the way, that's why I laugh when people say Sony's in trouble. I'm like, you guys clearly aren't paying attention.
Exactly. So of course he's going to be like, but that's not our competition.
Mm-hmm.
Because what else you going to say? Yeah, that's our competition, but they busting my ass right now. No, you're going to be like, well, we don't compete with them. So it's great that they're doing great. We work with them. So their success is our success. But let that change in the future and watch those words of they're not our competition change as well. Because clearly your actions don't match up with your words when you are the words that you've said to the Brazilian commission don't seem like the words of someone who isn't competing. The actions that you take and how you market your device, how you create two SKUs to try to beat Sony on power and price. These aren't things that you do if you're not competing with somebody. Like, come on, you're not getting upset that Sony is money having games from you and paying developers to not go to Game Pass. You wouldn't be upset about that if you weren't competing. So, it's funny. I like to see these quotes every now and then just to kind of see the narratives that get thrown around. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. No, it's. Let me grab the super chat with the pollinator. That's. Geez, I didn't think you. I thought you were. I didn't think you were going to change it, but you did.
Oh yeah.
We got Neil Wise at the $5 super chat says Phil said this before and then took Starfield and Bethesda away from PlayStation, the biggest market lead in gaming. It's hypocritical. I get what you're saying, Neil Wise, but I don't think it's about putting games on other consoles as it is having those games available outside of a console, traditional console, where these games are available on PC now. They're available on cloud via cloud streaming. I think that's what he's talking about. And I think when he says, having your family members or friends have two different platforms and being able to play the same game, just the way things are now, I'm assuming he's referring to multiplayer games. like we talked about Fortnite, Pollinator, and we'll be in a squad together, 4 of us, and I'll be on you'll be on PC, your buddy will be on PC, and then me and T-Rock will either be on PlayStation 5 or I'll be on Xbox or PC. We're all playing on different platforms, but we're still playing together in the same game.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that cross-play feature. I think that's kind of what he's talking about, but I think that more so applies to multiplayer games where you would be playing those games with your friends.
But I mean, he didn't say there'll be 0 exclusives in the future. He said there'll be just less exclusives, which I can, depending on your definition of exclusive, because like now that's got like various, like there's console exclusives, there's like timed exclusives, there's whatever, right? But like depending on how what he really meant by that, like it could be taken different ways. He could mean straight up like it's like he sees Sony putting more of all their games on PC, so therefore all of their first party games will no longer be really exclusive to PlayStation, and therefore there's less exclusives in the future, right? He could be looking at it as like more games, even with the third party publishers and developers, are going to be making just strictly multi-platform games and not games that are specific to a certain platform. He could look at it like that. It can be taken a lot of different ways, but we know the ways that most people took it, which is like he's talking about his first party games. But I mean, look at what he's saying again. Look at what he's saying versus what he's doing, because if there wasn't the FTC and like the world's markets looking at this deal, would it be any different than how they tried to go with ZeniMax Media, which is essentially, as he said, with ZeniMax Media,
it's a good,
those games
question.
Those games would go everywhere that Game Pass is. So that doesn't exclude in the future those games not coming, those Bethesda games not coming to PlayStation. Just as long as PlayStation's willing to play ball with Game Pass, which we know they're not, therefore they're not there. So like I think that's always the focus for them, because their CEO, he gets he's making money off of making sure that like Microsoft is pushing subscriptions in all of their various markets. So
that's just an interesting point about the conversation being not slightly different, but is he saying this because of maybe the eyes on him because of the $70 billion deal it's pending right now?
And what I was saying was don't put it past him for this simply to be an anti-Jim hockey puck, right? Just I like that. I like that. Right? Because the game that's going to get played, right, is next Go, right? Jim's going to be running around talking about the value of PlayStation exclusives, right? And so there's probably lots of other stuff that are wrapped in it, but part of it might, could very well just be, let me take that argument off the table, right? Let me remove a little power from that argument. Let me make that argument, let me paint it in the stripe of that being anti-gamer, right? Which is a thing that they've done before, right? I mean, say what you will about Microsoft, but let's just go all the way back to Halo 2, right? This is a company that was very invested in kind of this Rolling Thunder campaign, right? Of let me string together a bunch of marketing PR opportunity windows, right, into a strong set of reinforced themes, so that by the time my next big move comes around, right, this is the voice track that everyone has. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you, BRAP, is you and I maybe we weren't arguing, because maybe you said something that I disagreed with and I just didn't have time to engage on it right then, earlier in the week. I think you mentioned somebody you were talking to who said that the Sony model is antiquated. And so one of the things I wanted to ask, and one of the things that I thought about today is, I think we often, particularly people who talk about the gaming industry, we often.
Oh, by the way, I wasn't agreeing that it was antiquated. By the way,
no. I know. I believed your point was that you would have argued the opposite, and this is why I wanted to ask you the question. I think in people who talk about games and people who console war and rah rah and pom pom, I think we conflate the notion of operational excellence and financial and business savvy with an iteration with the notion of innovation. And I think in a technology industry, you right, those other things that I just mentioned are things that kind of stoke the fire, right, and keep the coals warm. But to really move the needle, right, to really make big muscle movements, you have to have innovation. And so if the Sony model is not antiquated, right, and really for innovation, let me refine that further too. You have to have a big idea and you really have to have perfective innovation, right? Which means you really have to come up with an idea, whether it's technology or business model, and be first to market with that. And then you have to perfect it and hone it and deliver, right? You can't just have, right, a wackadoodle new idea, right, that you don't actually make anything out of, and that you don't actually leverage the competitive advantage. So one of the things I wanted to ask is if Sony's model isn't antiquated, what has been their big idea? I mean, the original PlayStation itself was their big idea, but I've been trying to figure out what has been their big idea, because everything I think of, right, from the inception of the original PlayStation has just been iteration.
So yeah, I mean, they haven't done anything they haven't had like a big idea per se. You're right. It's been iteration. We talk about like what's up, Forte, by the way? I heard you come in here.
Doe?
We have heard them, there was that conversation around them following Xbox. We know they've done things before Microsoft has in terms of cloud, things like that, subscription services. Maybe that's the big idea that they've tried putting PlayStation on their TVs on the BRAP. I think what they're doing now, and I wouldn't say that this is a big idea. I think they're probably realizing, hey, it doesn't make sense for us. We have this PlayStation brand it's a big brand for us. We also have this other side of of the entertainment business and music. Why aren't they not working in synergy with one another? It's happening now. We're seeing that now. You're seeing a lot of their I think there's news that Gravity Rush is going to become a movie, I think. And
I don't know, man. I don't play movies. Do you?
No. I definitely don't play movies.
That's very interesting that they're doing it, because I heard Days Gone might turn into
Days Gone might be a movie,
or a movie. So it's like it seems like the IPs that they have already said, we're not making any more games for these. We're going to instead go ahead and still make try to find a different avenue to make revenue off of it.
Yeah, like on the Uncharted movie, which I actually saw the Uncharted movie. It wasn't that bad. I was kind of
So do you guys think that that's the big idea, that they'll mix with perfective innovation that really moves the needle for them?
I think so. They have uniquely different assets at their disposal that Microsoft and Nintendo don't, which is Sony Pictures, which is the experience and history in that. So if they can leverage their own content and not have to worry about Sony Pictures basically being held afloat by Spider-Man, which is an IP that they technically really don't own, it's a Disney IP that they have to continue to keep pushing out content for in order to keep. If they can actually build and grow the other department, based off of IP that has been grown on the gaming side of things, then sure, why not? And if that kind of interest ping pongs back to gaming, where people are let's say, for example, Days Gone movie is awesome, right? Let's say it's great. People love it. Now that interest might turn into, hey, let's do a Days Gone 2. Now there's interest in doing a Days Gone 2 where they feel like they may actually be able to get a bigger return on investment. Maybe the development cycle isn't as long as the previous one was, and now the interest in that IP is different than what it was, say, right now. So I think that all these companies have a unique perspective, and again, they can leverage their own assets that they have and their various industries that they're in to do it. But this is their way of doing that. So like this is something like Microsoft couldn't do this.
So let
Like-
me just understand, because I'm a little I don't know what I am right now, but I just want to make sure. I'm taste the salt. I'm up here. I just want to make sure. I'm up here on a panel of gamers, hardcore gamers, trophy hunters, right? People who complete tens and dozens of games in a year. And we think that the big idea for Sony that moves the needle, that is the big muscle movement for them as a game property, is for them to leverage their IP into movies?
Well, I wouldn't say that. This is more of a this is supplement. This is supplemental. For them, their big idea is to continue making games that sell 20 million copies and push the platform, but then also, especially now that what has happened with Microsoft and ABK, build a live service IP that rivals Call of Duty, that they can now then when they lose the marketing rights for Call of Duty, they no longer that doesn't matter. We got X game that is now exclusive to our platforms, which is PC and PlayStation 5, and it's now a revenue generator to the point, or a sales generator to that. It's up there with the Fortnites and the Call of Duties and everything else on our platforms. That's their bigger thing. The whole movies thing, like you're not going to be like I agree with you that's not the big play for them. But if you have IP that's somewhat interesting and has some interest, but you don't think it's at this point in time, it's not beneficial for you to make a game off of it, why not make movies off of it?
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Game Logic, are you? I just want to make sure I understand the question too. I may have not understand what you're asking, but are you asking like what Sony is currently working on that might change the way we experience games?
I just want to pull the thread on if Sony's model isn't antiquated. What has been their big idea and their perfective innovation?
So,
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So I'm going to tell you this, and no one wants to probably hear this, but let's be for real here. Sony idea is always derived outside of the PlayStation 2 with a DVD drive in it and a PlayStation 3 with a Blu-ray drive in it. All of their big ideas have been ideas that they iterated on that other people have done, and they just done it better at a certain point. They have that has always been the mantra of what Sony has done outside of those two consoles, where they led the way with a DVD drive and a Blu-ray drive. Other than that,
I don't count those as innovations.
Yeah, exactly.
I might give some credit to the Blu-ray thing, just in terms of it wasn't just for the console, that they were the leader of that consortium. They were trying to enforce the standard that had to play into their movie side.
Yeah.
And again, going back to like rental deals and all that kind of thing. So but again, that's a thing that Microsoft has done before as leaders of standards bodies. I
just feel like at a point they're just like, if you just think about it, they're at a point now where they're still playing catch up in a lot of these different things that are staples now. Games as a service has been a staple for well over half a decade at this point now, almost. And they're finally building studios or building experiences that intersect with that. And is there anything wrong with that? No, but it's just the same thing. Like, when you think about, is it that they're antiquated? Not that they're antiquated, it's just that they're so slow to react to everything, and they always want to see if it works first before they dive into it themselves. And then maybe that's a smart business move on their end, and that's why they can operate with such tight margins that they actually have as a company and stuff, and still be profitable as a PlayStation brand. But we're getting to a point now where that isn't enough, because everything has pretty much been done at this point. That unless you can find something truly outside the box, And I think the only outside the box thinking company at this point, honestly, probably is, well, actually, I don't think none of these companies really think outside the box anymore. I just think they all live in their own ecosystems. Nintendo does really well just because they have a first party that they just keep on manufacturing, and they're always the ones that have that handheld. They have that part of the market pretty much cornered. And Microsoft, they always are willing to try something. It may not work for them initially, but it always comes to fruition at a later date. Everybody laughed at them about having the Ethernet port on the system, and Xbox Live was born from that. And we see where, ecosystems for online gaming is now. And then if you think about 2013 with the whole TV integration and always online consoles and stuff like that, people, in 2013 thought that was crazy. And now you look at it like everybody is connected pretty much to an online ecosystem and stuff. And now you're seeing Game Pass where you're paying for a monthly subscription with games and stuff like that. Now, are those things all genre defining things that they done? No, but they took risks that no one else was willing to take at those times. Some of those risks were taken because they had to take them because they couldn't live inside the ecosystem any other way. See Xbox Game Pass. But outside of that, they push forward on things like that where Sony kind of sits back and says, let's see how this online thing works. Let's see how pay for online play works. Let's see if Microsoft could go a whole generation of people paying for online when ours is free. And guess what? Once they saw that was a viable thing, they turned it on their consumers and said, hey, you're going to pay too. Because we see that people are willing to do that. They see Game Pass. Game Pass has been out for 4 or 5 years. And now you're starting to see not a complete, iteration of what Game Pass is, but that was something that, they went back and said that, we don't think it's sustainable. They still haven't put their first party games in there. But the fact that service is available on that system lets you know that they see that there is something there. There's something there that they didn't think was going to be there initially. They just haven't bought in 100% like Microsoft has. And that's the thing that Sony has done consistently since they have been Sony. They take what other people have done and they try to do them better. And I don't know how much better they can do on the things that other people have done already. And that's kind of where we're sitting at now.
Yeah. So real quick, I think as I think about that individual who said it was antiquated, I think what they were trying to say to Game Logic is that way of doing business is kind of over and done with. Like it can't be successful because Game Pass is the future.
That's ridiculous because Game Pass.
But I see your point. I'm sorry, real quick, Pollinator.
Oh my God! I was wondering who pollinated, and I saw that emblem, and I was like,
"But I see what you're saying, though." Game Logic, like they've been doing the same shit for like 20-something years. They're not really pushing, doing anything innovative or shifting the paradigm in any kind of way, in terms of how they deliver game or their business. They're just business model. They're a hardware company. They want to sell you PS5s. They're going to use software to drive PS5 sales.
right.
So yeah, in that regard, yeah, that's antiquated in that regard. But I think what this person was trying to say was it's antiquated in the sense that it's not a viable business model, and that I don't agree with.
Yeah, and I wasn't falling off the log about that. I just wanted to to challenge the notion, right? I mean, in business, there is value, absolute value of perfecting what you do and speaking to your strengths, right? And actualizing on those. Absolutely. And that's definitely unquestionably what Sony has done and done well and done better than Microsoft. Like I said I think it was during the rant or maybe last week, right? I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that the Sony PlayStation platform hasn't outsold Xbox 2 out of 3 generations, right? And in the one generation that they didn't necessarily, they walked them down after Microsoft had a 1-year head start. Right. But right when we talk about business models and we talk about innovation and we talk about like who's making moves and moving the needle, a lot of time I think a lot of airtime and a lot of vocality goes to what Sony does with the PlayStation brand and ascribes innovation to it. And I'm like, as a technologist, I'm like, that's in many cases it's not innovation. That's been iteration and perfection.
Yeah,
which
I
again
would
has
agree with that,
value, but that's just don't tell me that they've come in and disrupted the market right after
they
their
haven't.
first stovepipe into it. And
No,
I think
they-
you got a
they-
couple. I think you got a couple super chats too.
Yeah, no, they definitely haven't. I mean, obviously they're investing in things that may provide different experiences or enhance experiences in gaming, like with their investment in VR. But yeah, I mean, had they come in and completely shifted the paradigm? No, they haven't done that. Yeah, let me get. Let's see here. We got $2 super chat from Borbor Country. Bobor, which who says, "What about Returnal? Innovative? Question mark. What did you smoke?"
The answer to that is no. Next question.
Yes, I wouldn't say Returnal was innovative. I thought it was a great game, but it wasn't I don't know. Anyhow, thank you for that super chat, Bobor Country.
No,
Bobor
I mean, I was being sarcastic, but I mean, we can expand on that, right? Like, I'm not going to count.
I don't think it was innovative per se. I think
It's a high production value roguelike.
yeah, it's a great roguelike, and it was a great leap for that studio. But is it innovative? No, I wouldn't say it's innovative.
Yeah.
Let me grab the second. Go ahead, man.
And again, to tighten up, right? When I'm talking about innovation, I'm not talking about creativity. I'm talking about something that is disruptive to the industry. So yeah, you can go grab the second super chat.
You know what's disruptive to the industry? PC, baby. Best platform to play games. Apparently, I learned something new today. If you buy a PC, 2 years later, it's antiquated.
You know, PC.
Oh my God! Why do you share these things with me, Pollinator?
I don't know.
Oh man, we got
You gotta do you got your second super
yeah.
chat.
Bobor Country with the second $2 super chat. Every time I see a boar in Fortnite, I think of Bobor for some reason. I don't know why. When I was playing Fortnite with Mooch, I was like, Mooch, look, it's Bobor. He's like, oh yeah, it's a great Bobor. Anyhow, so everything revolves around Fortnite. Thank you, Slow-Mo. Bobor Country $2 super chat says, you guess are dishonest. Memes buys everything. Bobor, I don't know what you're referring to. I don't think anyone's saying that Microsoft is. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. But thank you for the super chat.
I mean, it's so sad, right? Because the last few weeks, since I joined the podcast as a full-time
I'm sorry.
cast member-
Game Logic, real quick. I gotta get the super chat. I forgot. Rodimus,
sorry.
Rodimus, I'm sorry, man. I forgot your super chat. I meant to get your super chat. I'm sorry. Rodimus with the $5 super chat. This was for you, Slimo. Aren't we all pollinators after 10 p.m.? Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that, Rodimus. Thanks for the super chat, sir.
I was about to say something.
What were you gonna say? Go ahead, say. What were you gonna say, man?
Some people aren't pollinating after 10 p.m. You know, some people are pollinating on themselves. So
And some of us are old. We get our pollination done earlier in the evening.
That's just true. Yeah. My goodness. They're called nooners. All right, Gabe, let's go ahead, man.
No, it's sad because the last few weeks since I've rejoined the cast as a full-time member, I've actually been thinking very often that, like, man, I really regret that Bobor Country hasn't been around. Right? I was actually thinking about renaming my dog to Bobor Country. And so it's sad that we got all this spice going on tonight just because I pitched an idea that wasn't aligned with the PlayStation brand and called them into question. So, but that's not
even a criticism of PlayStation
Right.
Game Logic. It's really not. It's basically saying, look, they've been doing the same thing they've been doing for 25 years, but they do it very well. They perfected it.
Absolutely, and
It's like-
beat the competition, right? 2 out of 3. I'll even give you the 3rd generation Borbor if it really chaps your cheeks that much that I said they only beat them 2 out of 3 generations. I'll give you the 3rd one. Are we good now?
I'm going to change my name to never mind. I'm not going to say that.
Nevermore.
No, but no. Look, I got it. It's not a criticism. I mean, it is. It's like it's like has Activision innovated with Call of Duty? No, but they consistently put out a game
absolutely
that
not.
drives a high engagement that no one else seems to do in the industry.
Yeah,
they perfected that model, that game, that
Right.
PS. Yeah.
I mean, I'd throw some credit Nintendo's way, right, for taking their two business models, right, and merging them, and finding a way to differentiate, right, but from not only the other consoles but everything that they've done before, right, with the Nintendo Switch. Now maybe that's not super innovative, but at the end of the day, it was a big idea, right, and they are approaching it with perfective innovation, right? They are refining that model. They've got multiple SKUs in that model. Those multiple SKUs are driving higher consumption of that model, right? And they got a great business going on, right? Through a big idea. The notion of the Nintendo Switch wasn't just a lazy idea that somebody came up with on a Sunday afternoon while they were swinging in their hammock, right? So that's.
Oh wait, I got a great idea. Hold on. Gotta get off my hammock here.
That's my point.
No. Some of the live chat says BRAP Microsoft had to do something else to disrupt the industry because they couldn't compete in the traditional sense.
No, and that's part of the conversation. Yeah. Innovation through desperation happens, and in fact, that's great, Scott. That's when you hope it happens, right? Like if you can't come up with a great idea pulled out of your butt, right, when your back is against the ropes, then great, Scott. I don't know when you're going to figure it out.
Yeah. Right. Bobo Contrary, the $5 super chat says, "Look, all I'm saying is be fair. They do the same thing. Sony and Microsoft do the same thing, but saying Microsoft innovates while Sony perfects."
First of all, I didn't talk once about any Microsoft innovation.
Yeah. I was about to say
didn't bring it up, but
no one said anything about Microsoft.
But since he went there,
oh man, I'll say, see, Boomer, now you got game logic all spicy now, man.
Hey, what I'll say is again, Game Pass might not be super innovative, right? But it was a big idea that they doubled down on. This whole notion of all the things that they're doing with their strategy, right? The discussions between Phil and Satya, the taking of the Microsoft strategy, which heretofore had been applied to everything in Microsoft with the exception of gaming, right? And making a firm generational pivot, right, into aligning the way the rest of Microsoft is doing it, leveraging Azure. Again, in my opinion, not an idea that you just come up with on a lazy Sunday afternoon swinging in your hammock.
Phil
of a big idea.
Come on, man. Have you seen
he probably was.
Come on, he was.
Had to put a bunch of things together. Now, again, does that mean, I'm not saying Microsoft worked harder. I'm not saying Phil's smarter than Jim, right? Climb down out of your freaking treehouse, right, and calm the flip down, right? I'm just making a comparison between the two corporations and their approaches to the industry and trying to give some credence, right, to the way things have evolved out of the state of affairs as they were, right? Sony hasn't had to do a lot of things very different. They've been able to just keep winding up and putting pressure on and increasing the RPMs on that same pump, right? And that's fine. That's yielded great games. That's yielded The Last of Us, The Last of Us 2, God of War, the reboot from 2018, God of War, it's going to yield God of War Ragnarok, which is going to be a great game, which is going to sell well. Again, none of this is an argument that Sony hasn't outperformed Microsoft 2 out of 3 generations, right? But it's just to say that, everybody's been making different moves. There's credit to be spread around and given everywhere. People will be all up and down, whatever.
You have enraged the live chat, man. Now you got people saying that you alluded to Microsoft innovating, which I don't think he did, because I didn't interpret it like that either. I don't think anyone on the panel interpreted that, because the conversation was, you specifically asked about Sony. The conversation was centered around Sony.
I'm gonna say as a business model, and look, you guys can drink the haterade all you want to. I'm gonna say that out of desperation, Game Pass was an innovative business model in its application to the gaming industry. Hadn't really been done in that manner before. So you can argue with me. I mean, there are merits probably to that argument, right? But that's what I'm gonna say. They did something that they had to do out of desperation. That was something that only they could do in terms of market positioning. When you look at how revenue is peanut buttered around the industry, really the only other person who really could have done it would have been Tencent. And I don't necessarily think that their corporate structure really would allow them to do so in the same manner that Microsoft did. And they're not owners of the second biggest cloud infrastructure on the planet. So
oh man, you really opened up Pandora's box here, man. People are talking about Sony money hatting now. Oh my God, everyone, calm down the live chat. Jesus. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, and what is it? Capono 5150. I'm absolutely listening to the people who disagree. Like I said.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's. I don't think that's. I don't think
I've blocked anybody who disagrees with me. I don't think I said at any point in that I said, well, you don't have to listen to this podcast. You can get the hell out of here.
I've said that. I've certainly said that. I don't care.
Look, it's just a thing that doesn't get said very often. So it was a question that I wanted to pose to the panel, because if you listen to a bunch of other podcasts, they're either trying to hate, they're asking a question like that because they're trying to hate on Sony, right, and declare Xbox the winner of everything. It's not actually a deep analytical question to be fielded to a panel, and I thought it was something we could talk through here.
No, I thought it was again, I understood the question, kind of in nowhere in my mind did I think about Microsoft at all. I was kind of thinking all the ways Sony's leveraging their IP now, some of the things they're doing to kind of, some of the synergies that we talked about, like Forte mentioned, and how they're going to PC and how they're releasing first party on PC, things like that. So it just, I never looked at it as an Xbox versus PlayStation thing. And I think it's unfortunate. It's like that does happen a lot. Like it's happening right now in the live chat. I don't understand why it's always an Xbox versus PlayStation thing or PlayStation versus Xbox thing. You can have a conversation about one or the other without having to bring up the other.
God damn it, Jeff B. Gaming. We're going to do this every single week. Every single week, Jeff B., we're going to do it. Let's acknowledge the Knicks, because they have a unique offense system, is the same comparison. They still subpar. Agreed. Great. You know what? The San Francisco 49ers had the West Coast offense. They weren't great when they first implemented it. But you know what? Several years later, a shit ton of teams use the West Coast offense.
I think Slomo's even playing the West Coast offense, if I'm not mistaken.
And I'm just joking, Jeff B. I love you, man.
Did you guys talk about Gamescom at all?
No, actually, we waiting for Forte to come back, because we're going to pivot to Gamescom right now. Because
I can save you a lot on that one.
Because there was some big news from Gamescom with relates to Destiny, man. Like,
you like Gamescom, Forte?
Say again?
You didn't like Gamescom, Forte?
No.
Well, let's. No. He said no. I wasn't. I haven't been in overly enthused with some of the the news, but the Destiny stuff was interesting, man. Like,
the Destiny stuff was cool.
Talk to me about that, because you're the big Destiny fan here on the panel. I don't really play Destiny.
I spent $150 on Destiny stuff yesterday. Put it that way.
Wow. How was that the big topic? Destiny, like what?
Well, because
that wasn't even Gamescom opening night. That was like earlier.
No, they did their show. They showed it at Destiny. They showed it at Gamescom.
They showed it at Gamescom.
But Destiny did their own little thing, which was way better than everything at Gamescom. But
okay, clearly from the Destiny crackhead, that's very biased.
No. I'm gonna tell you what all right, so Destiny stuff was cool because new DLC coming out. It lets everybody know that the game ain't dead, as usual. Destiny is not dead; it still lives on.
By copying Fortnite. I mean, sorry, not Fortnite. I meant by copying Warframe. But continue.
Okay, and is Warframe thriving as much as Destiny is?
That's not the point. They're still copying Warframe.
You can't copy something if you're doing it better at this point.
What? That is literally not the definition of copying.
I said you can't be copying something that you're doing better than at this point.
Slomo, did you want to pivot to Gamescom to argue with Forte?
Literally, the definition of copying is taking something and then doing the same thing. Okay, but so you're claiming that it's not copying just because you're successful.
No, I didn't say.
That's stupid.
I didn't say
you are smarter than that.
No, I didn't say it was a copy. I'm just saying
you literally just said it's not copying if you're doing better. You literally
better.
How you haven't played it yet? How you know it's better?
Oh my goodness!
You haven't played what Warframe did, and you haven't played what Destiny is doing yet, and you're saying it's better.
When the last time you played Destiny? Almost 6-7 months ago.
I played Destiny yesterday.
Can we?
What did you play in Destiny yesterday?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Why are you? You are literally throwing in like some this completely nonsensical argument. Just ignore the fact that you tried. Just ignore the fact that you're trying to ignore that Destiny's copying Warframe.
This is the hating bone of slow-mo. The hating bone of slow-mo.
This is what Forte does. He throws nonsensical arguments around.
Can
because you can't answer the questions.
I can answer the question.
All right, wait.
Destiny is definitely better than Warframe.
All right, Forte. Let's talk.
All of them are copying Borderlands though. So you what else you want to say?
Hey,
they all copy Borderlands. Borderlands is the GOAT.
Let's get to the news as it relates to Gamescom Destiny.
Yeah, let's just talk about
because there was some big news and it relates ties into Fortnite, which with Destiny and everything. So
I bought all of it already too. I bought all of it too. I bought Zavala. I bought The Stranger. Shout out to Anna. I bought that. I bought Ikora. She could throw Nova bombs because they still got that cheaty freaking Kamehameha in there. It looks. Really
I hate that slow-mo. I hate that.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's
It
stupid.
needs to go. We got like 5 more days of that.
Yeah,
like
so,
I was playing earlier, and
that's all you. That's all you hear. You walk around the damn map, and all you hear is "Kame." I'm like, I hate it.
But no, I do. I
love shooting people out of the sky before they.
That is cool. That is cool.
Yeah,
yes.
because they straight up, you just hear it from across.
Except you mistimed it yesterday.
So it's cool.
Mistime it today though.
I like the collaboration in that regard. I
do too.
I actually didn't know how I felt about the armor that they had coming from Fortnite to Destiny, because when I saw the screenshot, I was like, oh, that looks cool. I mean, the Warlock stuff looks really good when it comes to the helmet, the cat helmet and everything. But once you see it in game, I was like, yo, this looks really good. Like I
thought we were talking about Gamescom.
We are. You talking about Destiny and everything at Gamescom?
That's not Gamescom.
Yes, it is. It was all shown at Gamescom. So be quiet. We could talk about.
I'm not going to be quiet.
We can talk about Fall Guys.
Okay.
We can talk about how Destiny has a Fall Guys.
No, I don't want to talk about Destiny because there's a lot more that happened at Gamescom than freaking Destiny.
Well, he just asked me what I thought of the one thing that I actually enjoyed, because let me tell you what I didn't like about Gamescom. I'll tell you the one thing I didn't like. The one thing I didn't like, and what kind of turned me off, is the fact that they had awards for they put up, what did they do? An award saying
most anticipated.
No, most anticipated Microsoft game. And I'm sitting there like, what are these games? We're not gonna
do that every year.
I know, but I'm sitting there like, not most anticipated games for 2022, not just they just said most anticipated Microsoft game. And I'm like, what are these games? And then I'm listening to Jeff Keighley up there, and I'm like, at this point, I'm rolling my eyes because I'm like, oh my God, here comes the sponsorship. We got to talk about a car. I understand we got to pay the bills and all, but it was like just a lot of stuff that I just truly didn't care about.
It was a Pokemon card.
Yeah, it was a Pokemon card. The Pokemon card looked cool. And you know how I am. I'm very, very affectionate when it comes to my Pokemon, because I love Pikachu, and Charizard is still my favorite Pokemon. But I love that. But it was like, I don't care. So when I was looking at it in general, it was like I was kind of already mentally checked out, because it went like 40 minutes of them just talking about a whole. Now, if you're into a whole bunch of indie stuff, show's probably great for you. Slow-mo, I know Slow-mo's into a lot of those things. He plays every freaking thing. So he definitely will pick some stuff out of this show that he definitely likes. But for me, I was like, I don't care about 90% of this stuff that they're showing.
Okay, yeah.
Now, when they show Consistent Protocol, I was like, that looks really cool. I really like that. I like Outlast. I do like the Outlast trailer. I was like, yo, this looks pretty cool. I don't like the way they showed the trailer, but I like I like what they're doing when it comes to that. And I was one of those people that was really out on Dead Island 2, because who thought that game was actually going to ever come? And I was looking, I was like, yo, why are we showing a CGI trailer for a game that we already saw a CGI trailer for? So I was a little deterred for that. But then when they showed gameplay, I was like, oh, okay, this actually looks cool. So I'm actually really interested in that. So there are some things that happen at Gamescom that I actually like, Slow-mo. But the rest of the show, for the majority of it, was a snooze fest. And I almost fell asleep. And I'm sorry that I had to say that, Slow-mo. But
can you finally be quiet now, since you told me to be quiet and spoke for like 5 minutes about like absolutely.
Now I'm
all you had to say was you was bored. All you had to say was you was bored.
I had to tell you I was bored.
No, you really didn't. You really didn't.
Slow-mo, I love you. Go ahead, tell everybody what you think about Gamescom.
Don't tell me what to do.
What?
Logic can go next. I'll go last.
I'm so fucking tired.
I will yield my time to the honorable gentleman from the other half of the DPS podcast. Thank you, gentlemen, for that preview of tomorrow night. But I'll give up my time for slow mo.
That was a preview, by the way, for tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. DPS podcast. But go ahead,
It's
slow
gonna
mo.
be fun tomorrow.
That's part of that co-marketing agreement between BRAP and DPS. That's how DPS got on Game Pass.
Exactly.
I ain't get paid.
I ain't get paid yet either. I'm still waiting for that check to clear.
Enrique, what did you think about?
Oh, why? Oh, all right.
I'm not going next. He ain't gonna tell me when to go. Get the freak out of here. Go ahead, Enrique.
You're not.
I can't breathe.
Slow-mo, you really don't like Forte telling you to go next, man? Or that you can
don't
finally
tell me
go?
Anything. He don't tell me anything.
All right. So here's my thing. You know what?
I will go last if I go at all.
All right. So mic drop moments for me. That's fine. Whatever. Some cool announcements everywhere. Which I think some former developers from GTA are making this game. Looks like shooting, driving in space, open world. I think it's going to be an open world game. Dune was actually kind of interesting. It's going to be an open world MMO. So I thought that was a cool announcement. Probably the announcement I was really excited for was a new Tales from the Borderlands, which I love.
Really? Really?
Huh?
Yo, that looked bad to me.
Man, and then everybody out there like, man, that was a whole nother thing. Oh, we want to invent our friend Randy Pitchford out here. It's been a long time no see Randy Pitchford. Like anybody really likes Randy Pitchford at this point.
Look,
Stop faking.
I love Tales from the Borderlands. It was one of my
loved it too, but that don't look like. I mean, it didn't look good to me. I'm probably still gonna play it.
I mean, it looked like Tales from the Borderlands, though. At least it's kind of like
I mean, art style, yes,
Yeah.
it's cel shaded,
Yeah,
but
he made sure that he told everybody that, hey, we got the original team working on it. He had to make sure that he put that out there, like Slomo told me yesterday.
and I don't trust Randy as far as I can throw him, which is like nowhere. So I don't quite believe that. They may get like 2 people from the original team.
He said they got.
That's like
we got the person who was we got one person who did the storyboard for us.
We got a QA tester and a janitor from Telltale. So like it's the same team here. No, that's not. Like I want to know for certain, like especially after Back for Blood. When they market Back for Blood as, I know this is a different publisher, but whatever. They tried to market Back for Blood as if it was literally the same people who made Left 4 Dead. But then when I've seen YouTube videos of people breaking down literally the entire team that worked at that studio before when they did Left 4 Dead, and literally maybe 5 people were left that were still working at that studio when they did Back for Blood, which is probably why the game didn't play anywhere like Left 4 Dead. But regardless, what I'm saying is that don't say, hey, we brought the whole team back, or we brought a good portion of those team back. How many? It's just I know it doesn't look quite cool to me. I don't like the way the main characters look, and nothing against people in wheelchairs. That's not the issue. I'm not. That's not it. It's just that the characters they all look old. I'm like, I don't know. I want to.
You hate the elderly, okay?
Yeah, basically. No. Seriously though, where's Reese at? Where's Vaughn at? Where's the 2 other girls that were in the original game? We were.
Weren't they sisters? Weren't they 2 girls and
sisters?
Those stories? Weren't they sisters?
Yes, they were.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and they're completely
Reese was great, by the way.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
You saw Reese and Vaughn in Borderlands 3, but those 2 other characters aren't there, and there's just no maybe they show up, but I much rather would have them be the main characters than a whole new cast. As soon as he said that, I was just like, eh.
So you're not feeling the whole new. You would prefer the continuation of the Reese story then?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Did nobody like the Quantic Dream game that was announced?
There was
what game was that? That was
Under the Waves.
Hold up.
I
didn't see that one.
Yeah,
that was Quantic Dream?
Yeah. Quantic Dream and Parallel Studio.
I saw Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Yeah, Under the Waves. Yeah, that's right. Parallel Studios, Quantic Dreams. Yep, coming in 2023.
Interesting. Yeah, I must have missed that one. No, I did see like a lot of cool stuff that I thought, well, like Where Winds Meet looked really cool. Liza P looked great.
I thought Liza P looked really great.
Yeah, like there was a lot of games that I thought I was like the Dude Awakening. Of course, there was a lot of teaser trailer stuff that it's just like, I mean, I don't really know what that is, but I saw what was it called? Atlas Fallen looked pretty cool. The Scars Above trailer looked interesting. But like a lot of it was, I would agree that a lot of it, there was a lot of teaser trailers, CG trailer stuff with like, what's the gameplay like? Like there was an RPG, and it just seemed like it was literally a minute trailer, and it was just a lot of just panning shots, and then at the end, hey, for the makers of Fallout 3 and blah 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 blah, and I'm just like, what is the game? Like, I don't know what this game is. Like, so it's just, there was a lot of little stuff like that I thought was a little blah. But I mean, look, I saw some good games that I thought, and I say good games, interesting games that I'm interested in. Hopefully they show some promise. But it's I think it was a better show than the summer fest, whatever they call it show. So it wasn't that bad.
What I want to know, who's going to put Pokemon in their car, by the way? That's the Mini Cooper.
Nobody's going to do that. I do. Can I get a little time just to cover some of the games that did catch my interest?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Just to speak for the gamers who have different interests, few though they may be.
No, that's not few. I think there's many of us. It's just they're not just that forte.
Right. So I was actually interested. Not saying that these games look good or that I'm definitely going to play them. Just things that piqued my interest. Tortuga: A Pirate's Tale revealed. Which is from the developers of Port Royale. I thought was interesting. But like I said, Under the Waves kind of caught my interest, although I'm not a big fan of Quantic Dream and the games that they play. But I know that they're super popular, and I'll keep an eye out for that. There was a strategy game announced from the Subnautica developer with a story by Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah. I kind of was hoping it was a different kind of game, but that's fine.
It's a strategy game, and I know that's not appealing. I'm just giving it like 30 seconds of airtime. Yeah. Let's see. Homeworld 3 was a big one. I'm a super huge big fan of the Homeworld series, so it was nice to see some additional gameplay of that game. Like I said, I know that that's niche. I was actually interested to see some more from High on Life. One of the things, I won't call them few things, but one of the things that will be coming to Xbox Game Pass.
I don't think that gameplay for High on Life
was terrible.
Looked very well. I think it looked really bad.
Yeah,
like I don't know why they showed that.
Yeah,
that shit looked terrible.
I'm not my opinions of games that are in pre-release just go to as far as things that I'm interested in and will keep tabs on when they come out, and that's the extent of it. So that's the only reason I'm calling that one out. Yeah. And I think that is about it. I think the only other thing that I wanted to mention that I did see that actually did not pique my interest was the DualSense Edge.
How much do you think that's going to be?
Guess who's getting it?
Of course you're getting it, Enrique.
But so as far as the guess on price, I because I saw everybody else's guess, so it's impossible for me to voice one that's not influenced by what I've already read. I've seen pitches for like the same price as the Elite controller. So
like 175,
like 150 to 200.
Yeah. I knew. I kind of figured it'd be somewhere in that range. I actually think it would be 200 because there's a lot of like elite class or supposedly elite class. I'm doing air quotes right now. You can't see me, but I am. PlayStation controllers that are like $200 and they trash. Like the
Scuff is a marketing thing, not an actual great controller. I think.
Yeah, the Astro controller is like the worst, and it's like $200. And so like if someone can introduce that at $200 and it'd be absolute garbage, then I could think if Sony's controller is better than all of those, I could see them definitely dropping in at 200 and saying, I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get the Astro? You're gonna get that one instead? Ours is better.
So one thing I want to, so first of all, I do think that this is going to be a great controller. I think it's going to be totally worth whatever price Sony slaps on it. I think it's going to sell like hotcakes and it's going to do very well. That's my commercial take on it. So BRAP though, so you're going to get it. Is there a reason to get it?
No. He has no reason to get it.
Of course there's a reason to get it. Fortnite.
Because you want it.
Because I want it.
You can play, don't you already have an Elite controller though, Brad?
I do, yes.
Don't you play with it on your PC already?
No,
he plays
still in the
mostly
box.
on PlayStation.
Oh, you play mostly on. Well, yeah. If you play
My Elite controller is actually still in the box, by the way.
Oh man.
I'll actually accept the Fortnite answer because what I was thinking over when I saw this is like, look, there's only one reason to get a precision controller for a platform, and that's to play competitive first-person shooters, PvP, right? Or if you're super interested, like I am, in racing games. And I don't identify those things with the PlayStation platform. I mean, my Xbox controllers I can use on Xbox and I can use them on PC. So I'm just like, that's where I would spend my money on super precision controllers. But drivers are out for the DualSense for PC, right?
Yes, it is. I actually have a
you can use it on PC. Yeah.
A DualSense app now that whenever I connect the DualSense to my PC, it checks for updates and does the update for me. So
okay,
yeah, it's like Spider-Man Remastered has all of the features that
the haptics are implemented.
Yeah, all that stuff's in there now too.
Okay. Yeah, I don't build my PCs with Bluetooth transceivers in them, but I did order some additional ones that I can plug in via USB.
Wouldn't do USB. I stay tethered. I do not want to do without any kind of latency whatsoever. So I like even my Elite. I have a USB-C to USB-C that I use for that, and then whenever I'm using my DualSense, I just disconnect the USB-C and connect it into that one. I'm not trying to mess with Bluetooth.
So I didn't think, and again, I mean, I haven't pulled this thread, so I should research it further. Can you use the DualSense controller over USB?
Yeah.
Wired?
Yeah, I do it all the time. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I thought it only connected to PC over Bluetooth. So all right.
Nope. Yeah.
I'll take a look at it. I just personally didn't think there was really, for me, there wasn't a big reason to get the DualSense X. And part of that is because, and this will be an interesting question too, I feel like the DualSense is already a great controller. So I just like, it's again back to that, like, what is the difference between a $60 bottle of wine and a $110 bottle of wine, right? I don't know that there's that much, and so I don't know that it's worth the lift for me to go to the DualSense.
Let me ask you a question, Game Logic. What's the difference between PBR? Never mind.
That's a big difference, right?
Yeah, no, I look. You guys know. I think you guys are all making fun of me, like, "Oh, BRAP's going to get this." Yeah, of course I am.
And you are. Yeah,
of course.
And it's going to sit in the box. You're not even going to use it. I don't think you're going to use it.
We're not talking about that.
That's weird, right there. Just to spend money. Well, never mind. I'm happy that you have the money to be able to do that.
Good for him.
Good for you, man. But I will tell you, I don't know. I'm like more like what Game Logic's thinking, because I never really think of the PlayStation platform as the competitive side. But that's mostly just because I don't play shooters for predominantly on PlayStation. But I may still buy this controller because sometimes I wish I had full control of the face buttons on the back on PlayStation. I mean, of course, you just get used to not having it, but there is like a little bit of a gap in just figuring out how to play the game when you don't have that. When I use my Elite controller for everything for Xbox and PC. So even when I play God of War on PC, I map all of the face buttons to be on the back. So even when I play God of War, it's like that over there too. So there's a chance I may buy it just for that, because it's not just a controller just for competitive reason. But the reason I looked at it like, I don't know if I really need it, is because that's what that controller is made for. It's made for you to, be in that type of competitive environment. And unless I'm going to play on PlayStation shooters like that, I don't know if it's going to be something that's a must-have.
If I could switch the position of the thumbsticks to make them offset like the Xbox controller, it would be a cop for me instantly.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's
Not-
and that's part of my big reason too. Like if I'm gonna play competitive shooters and even racing games, right, my preference is for that offset. Like I have suffered with that side by side stick arrangement, right, since the inception of the PlayStation. I've never been a fan of that. I've always preferred the offset. But again, I think the DualSense is already a great controller, and I don't know why I would spend the additional money, right, for the step up to the DualSense Edge. And with what Forte said, right, to me, again, that level of precision and perfection, like I don't need that for God of War. Like that's not the kind of game that I would like spend the money for something
Right.
like that on. But that's just me.
If you're a primary PlayStation player or you're on PC and you prefer the DualSense or the parallel thumbsticks, I can see this, and you're into competitive games. I can see it being of use to you, especially if you're like a COD player and you play on
Jeppy
PlayStation
Gaming
a
just
lot.
brought that up in the live chat, slow-mo, like COD, like PlayStation's got the biggest percent of users of COD users. And I was thinking about that, like if you're somebody on the PlayStation platform that plays like Destiny, COD, and we know they're working on some other shooters, first party shooters. I mean, yeah, it makes sense for them to introduce that because those are the people that are going to go out and buy those this type of controller. But go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
I do think it's pretty cool. You can completely remove the thumbsticks, like that button. You can like press it in at the bottom, and then just completely take the assembly out. So let's say if you do get a stick drift issue, you could just, I guess, just replace that part with whichever is drifting, and then just like, I guess maybe you have to buy.
Someone said that wouldn't
whole-
fix the issue, though. I read that on Twitter today. That
Really?
that even replacing the thumbstick won't fix the drifting issue.
Well, because the stick drift is with the ball assembly right beneath the actual analog stick itself. The analog stick is the extension under there.
You're taking that whole thing out. I don't know if you guys seen the trailer, but like if you look at the trailer, you take that whole thing out, like that entire assembly out. It's like the button is under the controller, like right under the position of the thumbstick, but like when they showed it in the trailer, it looked like it was just like it pulled the entire assembly out. So you would be replacing all of that.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
Sir Nick
gotcha.
just said that the whole
That's
assembly
cool.
comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool then.
And it
Yeah,
also
that's-
has the
yeah.
thumbsticks where, like, on the Elite controller, you can kind of set the level of your triggers so that, like, depending, like, on how sensitive you want it to be, and you can do that on this too. And it looks like it may be some back paddles back there, but not as many as the Elite has, the Xbox Elite has. But
Yeah, I mean, look, if PlayStation gets some more shooters on it, like, I will absolutely be interested in it.
yeah.
Could absolutely, maybe make the shift.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's of sturdy quality, because I know the first edition version of the Elite controller had some issues with the bumpers. I've had no problem with mine so far, although I'm going to curiously get stick drift when I take it to Best Buy and get a fresh one because I got the warranty.
How
But,
about I switch mine out every year, no matter what. As soon as my year is up, I take it back to the store just to get another one.
Yeah, I got a
Oh, yeah.
2-year warranty, so yeah, I'm just waiting on. I actually need to check and see when that's up so I can make sure I don't miss it. But yeah, but other than that, mine is fine. But I
And they
think
do-
version 2 is good.
And they need to make me a cosmic red one, because it needs to blend with my whole motif.
Then
And-
you
and the-
buy it. Yeah.
And the battery, and there's got to be more than 20 minutes of battery life.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me grab this super chat before we wrap up with the show here, gentlemen. Tactical Gamer with the $5 super chat says, "Will play PS5 full feature haptics, adaptive triggers work wirelessly PC, or do I have to go wired? I've yet to use it on PC. I use the Elite 2."
I have yet to use it wireless on PC as well, so I don't know the answer to that question. I just do know that, like, when I did the most recent update, when I used it to play Spider-Man, I did have all the haptic stuff. So yeah, that's all I
Very
can tell
cool.
you.
Yeah. So that's the Gamescom's coverage of the show. Started off kind of spicy with Forte and Slow-Mo, aka the Pollinator. But look, it is quarter
Breathe,
after.
Forte.
What?
I just told Forte to breathe
Oh.
Why am I breathing?
because you got to, because I told you to.
Oh wow.
Oh.
It is quarter after.
Congratulations, Slow-Mo.
Oh wow! It's 11:15, And actually, BRAP needs to go to bed. So, but yeah, no. Look, want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat again. Thank you all for hanging out with us this evening. Really appreciate the super chats as always. Thank you so much. And please check out DPS podcast with the Pollinator and Forte, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Whose channel is it on this week?
It's on my channel this week. We will be talking about Gamescom, all the games in detail. I'm only doing this to force Forte to actually look up these games that he is so bored with and doesn't care about.
I already know about all of them and looked them up. I just don't care for them.
Yes, I did that just for you. And we'll talk about Phil Spencer interview too and a bunch of other crap. So yeah, just come on through. We'll have a good time. Me and Forte will yell and scream at each other, and then at the end of the day, be all cool as usual.
Yep, be friends as always.
Yep, and then Destiny is definitely copying Warframe, but yeah.
You guys can have that debate tomorrow.
No, you don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah, I do.
Oh
Yes, I
wow!
do.
All right, and then we. Yeah, go ahead.
And someone, and I did start playing Outriders this week since we're talking about games that copy other games.
Yeah, Outriders, good little Outriders.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask. Sorry, while we're on the DualSense controller, I know we're trying to get out of here, Brett. But so I'm reading real quick. The drivers for the DualSense controller are Steam drivers. So
Yes. Okay, so you can get the drivers from Steam. I also have I don't know if this app is from Steam. No, this app is actually from Sony. I have a firmware updater for DualSense wireless controller, and it's just like I just connect, my DualSense through USB, and I can pull the app, and so there's an update. They'll give me an update. So so they actually have outside the Steam drivers strictly from Sony now.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
All right, cool. And then, all right. So 9 p.m. tomorrow on you said Forte's channel. I don't remember.
Channel.
Your channel, Slow-Mo's channel.
Yes, Slow-Mo backslap.
Cool. All right,
Not
cool.
the Pollinator, Slow-Mo backslap.
Yeah, not the Pollinator. Slow-Mo backslap is the YouTube channel. If you Google YouTube Pollinator, you might get you might get something else you don't want to see.
Let me go grab that URL right now.
Right. And then also Game Logic. Thank you, man. Pleasure as always. You could probably figure out if you want to find Game Logic, you could find them. I'll leave it at that. But no, gentlemen, thank you again. Appreciate the panel and everyone in the live chat. There may be a BRAP rant this weekend, possibly. If not, I'll let you know. Give me a follow on the Twitters at BRAP, BRAP _podcast. That's where you can find me. And also, if you're new to the show, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Actually, everyone hit that, smash that like button. We got 52 likes right now, so please smash that like button. But on that note, we are out. Everyone enjoy the rest of the week. Have fun playing video games, because ultimately, that's what it's all about, having fun. We'll catch you either this weekend for a BRAP rant or next week for a regular scheduled BRAP. Good night.
BRAP in the building.
Hey, Forte. Hey, Forte.